we're going to now make a simple sourdough bread. I picked up a simple recipe. I tried it out. We really liked it. It's really good. It's the one I'm going to share with you in this video. And the full recipe is also found down in the description area. In order to do this, we're going to need just a few items. 200 grams of starter. So I happen to have enough of that. Yum yum. So get yourself a nice bowl or container, or use your mixer if you like. And because it's 200 grams, I'm going to need a digital scale. Okay, so this is why we really want to have this digital scale, really handy to have. All right, you zero it out. You put the bowl on there, zero it out with the bowl on there. So 200 grams of starter. All right, so there we go. 620 grams of water. If you want this thing to rise faster during the day, let's say you're going to start making this in the morning, you want to have bread that evening, start off with warm water, not hot water, you'll kill your little beasties, but a good warm water, you know, like 190. However, I prefer to allow it to ferment in the refrigerator all night long. So I could just use cool water and it's not going to be a big deal. If you do use tap water and you have too much chlorine in your municipal water, all you need to do is just set the water out for a couple of hours. Chlorine tends to evaporate and then you'll be fine. 620 grams. There you go. And just mix that in. The flour is 900 grams. I'm going to separate my flours into two different flours. So in this case, I'm going to use the sprouted flour that I made in my very first video on this channel. So it's a whole wheat, sprouted whole wheat. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to use about 400 grams of that, and then I'm going to use 500 grams of the all-purpose, 400 of the whole wheat. Wait for that cup. Just pour it in. 404. All right. So I'm going to put AP flour in here until it gets up to 900 grams total. 897. 900. 900 grams right on the money. 16 grams of salt. 16. And that's it. I've got everything in there that we need. And now we're going to mix this puppy up. This is the fun part. You know why this is the fun part? Now you can do this with your spoon, you know, or you can do this with the stick end of your spoon. Or if you're adventurous, you do it with your hands. I'm not afraid of a little dough or flour on my hands. That way I get it really, really nice mix. I get to scrape the sides really well, as you can see. I just flip this old sticky mess over like so. And that's it. Okay. Clean my fingers off. All right. There you go. That's what I end up with. Then you want to cover it up, put some plastic over it or something. Here's a nice little tip. Get yourself these little hair shower cap thingies. They're real cheap. You get about 100 of them or so. And just, ain't that a beaut. So simple. And you want to put this aside for 30 minutes. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. The dough has been auto-leasing, and basically the flour has been absorbing the water, and the gluten is starting to create its matrices. So I'm going to go ahead and take the top off. Now I have a little bit of water here, and the reason why is I like to wet one of my hands just so the dough doesn't stick to my hands as I do this first stretch and pull. So this is called the stretch and pull, and this is going to be the first of 3 stretch and pulls that I'm going to be doing on this dough. So let's go ahead and proceed. So I'm just going to take my hand here and just kind of work around the bowl here just to kind of release the dough from the bowl as best I can. All right, now take my wet hands, and I'm just going to grab the end here, and I'm going to stretch and pull. Stretch and pull, and it's very slack still, but you're going to start seeing this thing becoming much more built up, the gluten, as we go throughout the stretch and pulls in the second and third round. So I just like to do it, you know, 1 or 2 turns around the whole wheel there. It starts to get kind of stiff as I'm doing this. And so when I feel that it's fighting back, just like that, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and cover it up. And now we're going to leave it for 2 hours. Okay, so it's been 2 hours since we did the last stretch and fold, and now we're going to do the second stretch and fold. Okay, now again I'm going to use some water because I don't want to get dough sticking to my hand too much. And I'm also going to use this little scraper thing too, and I'm going to wet it. This is just going to help me to scrape along the sides of the bowl. All right, now for the stretch and fold. And I can feel that the gluten has started to develop. It's a lot more smoother looking. All right, there we go. So 1 round about with the dough there.
2 hours later.
All right, well, it's been 2 hours for me. It's been a blink of an eye for you. And now we're going to be doing our third stretch and pull. Stretch. Pull it back. Turn it 45 degrees, stretch, pull it back, and 1 more time, or 2 more times. How about 2 more times? Stretch, pull, and then we'll get this one right here. Stretch and pull. All right. And then we're going to leave it for 2 more hours. Okay, so it's been about 90 minutes since the third stretch and pull, and I'm about ready to go to bed. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this ready into this basket. Now you can use any kind of a bowl, a pot, anything like that, because the way that I'm going to be baking this sourdough bread is in a Dutch oven. And so I'm going to have it on some parchment paper, which is going to go inside the bowl. And so the banneton itself is just something to hold the dough in. I'm not going to use it for the purpose of having the lines and all that show up, which is what I usually would use this for. Get a little bit of flour, make a little bit of a mess. Okay. Up until now, we didn't want to add any flour to this whatsoever, but now we just need a little bit on here. All right. So I can turn this out. Okay. Ah, look at that. Just look at that. Looks really good. Okay. Now in this case here, normally I would divide this down the middle because this would make two nice loaves. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one nice big loaf, but I'm going to use, about 1/3 of this to make pizza later on. So, just want to go ahead and cut that up. All right. And I'm just going to put this off to the side here. A little bit of flour. Doesn't stick. I'll put this back in the bowl for now. Okay. So, we're going to make a big old loaf here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold. Fold it again. All right. Okay, and just start tucking underneath. And I'm just tucking underneath just to tighten the top here. This is not crucial because of the method I'm going to be baking it in, but I like to get a nice little tight skin on there. I'm going to put this in the basket top up. Okay. All right. I'm going to use the cover that I had on it up to this time. But what was left, get some flour on that. And that's because I am going to stick this into a Ziploc. I'm going to throw it in the freezer. This is going to become pizza crust from good homemade pizza. So that is going into the freezer for the future. This is going to go into the refrigerator so that it will not allow it to just start taking off like crazy. It will continue to ferment, but it will move a lot slower. And in the morning, I could take it out cold and put it into a preheated Dutch oven, which you're going to see come tomorrow morning, which for you will be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good morning. Nothing like a hot cup of freshly ground coffee in the morning. No, not sponsored by the coffee company. All right, well, it's the next day, and the dough has been sitting in the Vatican in the refrigerator throughout the night as I try to have a few Z's. I'm awake, refreshed. The oven has been preheating at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the max my oven will do, and that's plenty even if yours can do more than that. And then what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pull the dough out of the refrigerator, and then I'm going to put it inside of that Dutch oven. So let's do it. Now here's the dough. that just came out of the refrigerator. So it's been fermenting very slowly throughout the night. It's got a cool stiffness to it, so I'll be able to cut into this one. If it's risen too much and it's really like marshmallow, even softer than a marshmallow, where you put your finger and it just goes like this, virtually no pushback, don't cut it because it's pretty much maxing out, and you'll get the rest of the lift when you put it in the Dutch oven. So let me go ahead and get some mittens here, some oven mitts, because this puppy is hot, and I mean hot. Shut the oven door, you don't want to lose all that precious heat. And I'm going to put it down to 450 Fahrenheit. Okay, this thing is really, really hot. So be careful. Whew. Now, here is the dough in the bannequin. I'm just going to lift it out with the parchment paper. Off camera here, unfortunately. And you're just going to carefully drop it into the Dutch oven. Now you can leave it like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to clip a couple of spots there, put the lid back on right away. Don't want to lose any of that oven spring, and we're going to put it back in the 500 or the 450 degree Fahrenheit oven, middle rack. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set the timer for 30 minutes. When that timer goes off, then we're going to take the lid off the Dutch oven, and we're going to leave it in there for another 10 more minutes. Okay, the 30-minute timer went off, and so I went ahead and I removed the lid off the Dutch oven. And while I have the lid off, I just thought I'd point out that when you use a Dutch oven, make sure that you get one that has no plastic parts. Like some have these little plastic handles, that will melt in your oven. So make sure you get one with a metal handle. And if yours has plastic, you can get yourself a metal handle and replace that plastic one in most cases. So I would highly recommend that if you want to use the Dutch oven for making bread. And trust me, it is one of the best ways that I found in making nice artisan loaves. And I'll explain a little bit more about the Dutch oven at the end of this video. Okay, time to put the mitts on. The 10-minute timer has gone off. It has been a total of 40 minutes. I'm going to turn the oven off. Time to take the Dutch oven out. Oh boy, look at that pretty thing. Woo! That looks nice. Close the oven door here. Don't need any more heat. Okay, just carefully grab onto that paper there. You just pull your bread out. And look at that. Ain't that sweet, Miss Moneypenny? All right. Let's see, I'm right-handed. It'd be easier for me to do it this way. But hear that hollow sound? That means that it is cooked. Wow. See if we can listen to that. I'm going to put the speaker or the microphone as close up to it as possible. Let's see what we can hear. Not sure you can hear anything. Hear that? Ooh. Nice. Ooh, and hot. All right, well that took a total of 40 minutes to bake, and it's 30 minutes with the lid of the Dutch oven on. After 30 minutes, take the cover off, leave it in there for another 10 minutes so that it can completely brown the top here. If you want it a little harder, you can stay another 5 minutes, but don't push it because you don't want to dry out the bread. You want to keep it nice and moist. But I'll tell you, this makes a delicious sourdough bread. And it was very simple to make, as you saw. There was really no kneading involved. You just time and moisture was what really made it happen. Mostly time. And we do the stretch and pull just to help it along a little bit. But technically, once you mix that up, you can just put it away, and it's a completely no need. It will do just fine. I find that doing the stretch and pull does add a little more integrity to it, give it a little head start. So when you put it in that bannequin or a bowl or whatever you use, and use a little bit of parchment paper, it gives it a nice little taut skin to it, and then it kind of goes nice up and domey, and I like to give it that little head start. But that's a simple way of making a sourdough bread. And after that cools down, we'll cut into it and give it a taster. How's that? All right. All right, now it's time to cut into this. Oh, this great smelling bread. So let's get right into cutting this. I'm right-handed, so this is a little awkward for me, but I'll do the best I can. Maybe a better knife. Oh, I'll take a look at that. Oh, wow. That looks really nice. Ooh, smells great too. I'm going to go ahead and taste some of this. Okay. Now the way I like it is with butter. Did I mention lots of butter? No, I'm not watching my cholesterol. Not when I'm eating healthy sourdough bread. All right. Oh boy. Oh, this is good. Oh, good. Yum. Nice soft. I am totally enjoying this piece. That's good. Oh boy. When you ferment, you let that dough ferment in your refrigerator all night, that slow development. It really brings out the flavor of the sourdough. Oh. I hope I'm not being rude eating in front of you, but matter of fact, I wish I could share it with you, but all I could do is just share the procedure on how to make it. This is good. Oh boy. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to end this video right here. Well, there you go, folks. Our first video on sourdough bread making on this channel, using the sourdough starter that I also showed you how to make on this channel. I hope you liked this video. Please give me that thumbs up. helps the channel out. If you have any questions, comments, good or bad or whatever, leave them down in the comments below. And I always read those comments and I respond when appropriate. Wow, I really like this one. Okay, so anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.